It's the 11th of May 2021, and because of the pandemic and the lockdowns, there is a shortage of driving instructors. Not all driving instructors have gone back to work. In fact, it's estimated about 15% of them haven't gone back to work. This is causing a problem. There are literally thousands of learner drivers that have an upcoming practical test soon, but they don't have a driving instructor to practice with or go to test with. And I know this because my phone keeps ringing with people asking me if they can use my car for the test, and I'm having to put it on silent because it's driving me insane. But there is hope. You can use your own car. Firstly, you need to find a suitable supervisor. They must be at least 21 years old and have held a full UK driving licence for at least 3 years. And that's in the same category of the test you're taking. So for a car, that's category B. I'm going to leave a link in the top right hand corner of your screen to a video all about supervising learners to make sure your supervisor is legal and that you get the most out of your private practice. Now, I've made a list of all the requirements of your car to make sure I don't miss anything. It must be taxed. It must have insurance. That's where Collingwood can help you. It must be roadworthy with a current MOT. It can't have any warning lights on the dashboard, so no red or yellow warning lights, not just red. It's got to have all good tyres, all 4 tyres must be good, so that's 1.6 millimetres of tread minimum across the central 3/4 of the tread, all the way around, and no cuts or bulges in the sidewall. It must be smoke free, so you can't turn up to your test, open a door and emerge from a cloud of smoke and expect to do your test, because you're not. Smoke free basically means it can't have been smoked in recently, so if the examiner gets in, it shouldn't be evident that it's been smoked in very recently. It must be able to do 62 miles an hour, which isn't really hard to be fair, and it must have a speedo so you know how fast you're going. It has to have a maximum authorised mass of 3,500 kilos, which is 3.5 metric tons, because anything over that is no longer a car. You're no longer doing category B, and don't worry, this car, this is a Seat Lounge, which is like a Golf. It weighs well under 1,500 kilos, so you don't have to worry about that unless you're driving a truck. Oh yeah, and it must have 4 wheels and it can't be stolen. For your insurance, check out Collingwood. There's a link in the description, up to 35% off and a £20 Amazon gift card. And the reason why I recommend Collingwood is because you can insure yourself on somebody else's car without affecting their policy. That means your supervisor hasn't got the stress of losing their no claims bonus or their premium, their insurance premium going up. If you're insuring your own car, check out confused.com. Collingwood can help if you're insuring your own car, but also check out confused.com, because with Confused, you fill out one quote form and you get many quotes back to find out who's cheapest. If you use the links in the description and buy a policy via those links, it does support this channel, so thank you very much, but it doesn't cost you anything. Oh, and if you want to take your driving test in a manual, it must have 3 pedals. That's a gas pedal, a brake, and a clutch pedal. If it only has a gas pedal and a brake pedal, it is an automatic, even if you can change the gears manually. It's the clutch pedal that makes a car a manual. During the pandemic, for your test, you must remember your face covering. You must leave at least one window open on either side of the car, and the car must be clean. And also, whether there's a pandemic or not, you must have L plates and one of these mirrors. I'm afraid to point this mirror at you because this sun's quite bright and I don't want to reflect the sun, something like that, in the camera. This is just a suction cup mirror that goes just to the left of the normal interior mirror where the sun visor is, and you can get them on Amazon. I'll link to these in the description. You can see my mirror up here, which I actually super glued up there. Not my best decision, but it did keep falling off and I kind of lost my patience with it. Don't worry about this mark here, that's just where I wipe bird poo off, but that's where the mirror needs to go. And if it does keep falling off, a good tip is to put like a worm, thin worm of blue tack around the outside, and then push it on and then do the suction twisty thing. And I find when you do that, they don't actually come off. Like mine's stuck forever now. One L plate on the front and one on the back. If you find it keeps flying off, try placing it slightly higher up on the bonnet. I find that makes a big difference and it's still very visible. Obviously don't have it right the way up the top here. Try and find a compromise where it's still very visible but doesn't fly off. As for driving aids, you can use an electronic handbrake and you can use hill hold assist. You can also use front and rear parking sensors and cameras, except you cannot rely on them. You still need to make effective observations to make sure you're going to notice anyone walking, cycling or driving around you. I'll leave a link in the top right hand corner to a video about reversing which should help you. Oh, and in Wales, L plates may be D plates because in Welsh, learner is a word that begins with D, I guess. Unfortunately, you can't use all cars on the driving test. Here are a list of 4. You cannot use the BMW Mini convertible, the Ford Ka convertible, which many people call the KA, the Toyota IQ, and the Volkswagen VW Beetle convertible. In fact, if you have any convertible or panel fan, I highly recommend you contact the DVSA as early as possible to see if they will accept it on test. Their decision will be based on visibility. They have to be happy that the driving examiner in the passenger seat is going to have good enough visibility to conduct a safe test. There are also some cars you can't use on the driving test due to some known safety faults. I'll bring up a list of those cars right now on screen. If you want to use one of these cars, you have to either prove that the fault has been rectified or it doesn't apply to your car. I'm going to leave a link in the description to the .gov website which lists the requirements of the car you take on the driving test, but it also includes what proof you need to take with you to your driving test if you want to use one of these cars. I'll leave that list in the description so you can have a more detailed look at it, but pay attention to the chassis numbers and the date ranges to know if your car is affected. Something you can do to significantly improve your chances of passing the driving test is what you're already doing now, and that's research, watch videos, read, talk to people, get in private practice if you can. That significantly reduces how many hours you need with a driving instructor and how much you spend on learning to drive. People who only rely on driving instructors and don't put any thought into it outside of driving lessons do take a long time to learn to drive. If you think this video is helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to get my future videos. And until the next one, cheerio.